Kings, in my family, it is rivalry nights because half of my family are Avalanche fans and half of my family are Kings fans. Last season, the Kings won all 3 of their games against Colorado, so we had bragging rights for a really long time. Tonight's game went so badly against the Kings that I feel like all of our bragging rights have retroactively been taken away from us. It's not just that they now have bragging rights. Yeah, it was, wow, do the Kings have no defense? I don't understand how you can go from being a Jennings Trophy winning team. They did that in 2014 and they did it again last year. Last year they won the Jennings Trophy and you would have no idea. This is the 7th game where the Kings have given up at least 4 goals. Tonight they gave up 7. Spoiler alert. 7! How do you give up 7 goals? And it's not just that we have Quick out and we have our backup out and then, oh yeah, we have now, well, I guess Budaj made it into the game. So, I mean, yes, we do have fairly untrained goalies at this point, but the defense in front of them, especially because of that, needs to be better. And they were just pathetic. Speaking of our power play, what is happening? I don't understand how power play can be this bad. I have literally run out of words to describe it. So, we began the game actually not badly. There were a lot of hits, not a lot of shots in the first 5 minutes. The first shot actually came like 3.5 minutes into the game, and that was fine. They were slightly out hitting us, but we definitely were trading back and forth some pretty good slams into the boards there. And so it looked like it was going to be a physical game. But maybe that was how we were going to keep their top line, which is the top line in the NHL, down to a minimum. So that line consists of Nathan MacKinnon, who is at 29 points. Gabriel Landeskog, their captain, who is at 22 points. And then Mikko Rantanen, who is at 32 points. Wow. I don't even know if the Kings have scored 32 points in this entire season. We've won 7 games, lost now 13, and then 1 in overtime. I haven't done the math because this thought just occurred to me, but I seriously don't think we have that many goals scored at all in the season. So that's super depressing. Their line contributed to quite a few of the points tonight, unsurprisingly, but still, there were just goals coming from kind of everywhere. There are a lot of different players that scored goals tonight. The first one came on a penalty of ours. In fact, of the 4 penalties, they scored on 3 of them. And so by the time we got to the 4th one, I was fairly convinced that was what was going to happen because that is par for the course. Now, the Avalanche coming in were 3 for 3 on their last 3 power plays. So they have a really good power play. Maybe the Kings should stop giving them power plays if this is what they were going to do with it. So power play 1, there's a goal, unsurprising. And then the Kings just kind of stopped playing. We had been competitive up until that point. It was only 2 shots apiece. And like I said, lots of hits, but then there were 9 shots to 2 and the Kings were just skating backwards in circles as the Avalanche skated all around them in circles. It was really sad. And then finally we got some life from, of all people, Kyle Clifford. And I really shouldn't say that tonight because Clifford and Phaneuf were the 2 players that I noticed the most in the first period actually making good zone entries and clean zone entries. So they were pretty good, but I will say, I don't think you can tell from this angle, but it kind of looked like he was gifted a little bit. The puck was slightly mishandled by Varlamov. I think he thought he had it in his glove and he didn't. It was right there on the ice, right by our open stretch, and so Cliffy just happened to be in the right place and shoved that in. So yay, 1-1. And that's cool. That's good. Except immediately following that goal, Kovalchuk takes a penalty and 8 seconds into the penalty. 8 seconds into the penalty. They were literally in the middle of calling Kyle Clifford's goal when McKinnon scored. So there's that. So it's 2-1. And we have about 5 minutes left in the first period. And so we didn't even get to celebrate our one goal there. Yeah. So that's how we ended the first, 2-1. And Peterson was looking good. He wasn't looking rattled. I mean, this is a very good hockey team. But he looked okay. And then we go into the second. And it's not looking so good. There's an odd sequence where the Kings get a power play, and then 15 seconds in, they should have had a 5-on-3 when Cole was called. But then, I think it was McKinnon who was in the box, which, like, hi, gifted that. But then Kopitar was called for coincidental minors with Cole as the 15 seconds had just gone by in the first penalty, and he was called for embellishment. Now, this is a player that was nominated for the Lady Byng Trophy last season, and for those of you who are not as familiar, it basically means you're the nicest guy in the NHL. You don't do things like embellish. You don't take penalties. You're not a guy that's going to be smashing someone's face in. You're just kind of an all-around really good player. And he has won this trophy several times in his career. It's just not a thing that he does. Kopitar does not embellish. So, it's not like we were going to win the game. That was clear. There were, I think, 3 goals in the second period. So, it's not like that was going to help us. Of those 3 goals, 2 were on power plays there, unsurprisingly. There were 2 power play goals, and it just wasn't really looking good for the Kings. And so 4-1, slightly concerning. And by slightly, I mean, yes, I kind of thought we were going to be slaughtered by the Avalanche. I did not think that we would, I don't want to say quite so willingly give them up, but it seems like, so the third goal came immediately after we had a power play that was terrible, because our power plays are terrible. Worst in the league. My dad texts me, oh, surprising statistic, the Kings are worst in the league. I'm like, please tell me that was sent with sarcasm, because wow. First power play was so terrible that they basically immediately scored after that, and it just sailed right by Peterson. Our second power play, which was also gifted to us by Zadorov, he gave us 2 in a row, and we did nothing on either one of them. And then we got the third from McKinnon, and then the weird thing with Kopi, and then as that power play, thank God, ended. I mean, you shouldn't be saying thank God at the end of a power play. You should be saying that at the end of the penalty kill. So as that ended, McKinnon comes out of the box there, and Muzzin tries to stop him, but gets called for tripping, because McKinnon is the last player you want to have on a breakaway. And so he goes in the box, and they, of course, immediately score on their power play. And so that's how it became 4-1 there. Which, wow, there were just so many goals. That actually only means they scored 2 in the second period. It felt like more of an onslaught. But then that was probably the third period I'm reflecting on there. Because about 1 minute 10 into it, they were 5-1. And then not much after that, they were 6-1, and that's when Peterson stopped playing. And at this point, I'm feeling pretty bad for Peterson. It is not easy to be a goalie to begin with, and this is a goalie who has played in 3-4-ish NHL games now. So, yeah, that's got to be rough. That's probably a confidence killer right there, and I hope that he can get back that confidence, because let's face it, Budaj didn't do that much better. He obviously didn't give up as many goals, but he was only in there for like 17 minutes of the game, and he still managed to give up, well, maybe it was only 1. It felt like more. There are a lot of goals that they scored there, yeah. So, yeah, 6-1, in comes Budaj, and then there was a power play in which the Avalanche did not score, I know. Crazy. And actually, that was the power play where by that point we were 7-1. Honestly, I've given up figuring out when all of the Avalanche goals were because there were just so many and they were all depressing. So 7-1, maybe 5 minutes left. Yeah, a lot of that period you don't want to recap because it was just difficult to watch would be a nice way to put it. So 7-1, there's maybe like 5 minutes left. We actually managed to kill off a penalty, and it was Drew, of all people, to be able to kill off a penalty, because that's the point where we're like, great, 8-1, okay, fine. We were taking guesses, actually, throughout most of the game at how bad it was going to be. I guessed that we would score at least one more goal, though. I thought it'd be 8-2. At 7-1, I was almost there, because Luff gets his first of the game, second in as many games. So first NHL goal last game and second NHL goal this game. Luff is doing well. I didn't get a video of this one. I was so shocked it happened that I couldn't get my camera out in time. So Luff gets this, assisted from Wagner, who was in this game. First NHL point, congratulations. That came from Drew Doughty as he was coming out of the box. So we actually did something good on the penalty kill that continued into a goal. So yay! That's exciting. So congratulations, Luff and Wagner. Only to be followed less than a minute, I think, later by Wagner's first NHL goal, which I did manage to capture. Some beautiful give and go there between Wagner and Luff, just really in and out of the Avalanche defense. And Wagner is the one that ends up with the puck in the back of the net there. So that was exciting. But at this point, there's like 3 minutes left in the game, and you're like, really? Now is the time for your comeback. When it's 7-3 and there's 4 minutes or whatever left, and this is when you start playing. I mean, yay, I'm glad you did, but too little too late for sure. And that was the story of the game there. It was too little too late. Brown and Toffoli had a couple of nice shorthanded attempts there on that. So they really did start to pick up their play. But God, guys, did you have to wait until you were down 7 goals to do it? Well, down 6 goals. But really? Jennings Trophy. Jennings Trophy to giving up 7 goals in 1 game. I'm not thankful for that. It is Thanksgiving tomorrow, so let's see if I can find something to be thankful for about this game. That it's over.